I'm Rich Hake, and this is Let's Talk Social. Around here, we believe social isn't just platforms. It's your website, your email marketing, branding, it's everything your business puts online. In about 10 minutes, we get into what's working, what's next, and how to make your digital presence actually drive results. Let's Talk Social. So you've heard it 100 times. People say you need a website. They say you need to be on social media. They've been saying this now for years, and we all wonder, is it really just buzz or is it the real deal? Is this actually something that's worth investing in? And that's what this episode's going to go over. If I told you these weren't just tools, but they're actually assets that make your business money and they're great investments for the business, I'm sure a lot of people's opinions on this would change. And these are not the kind of assets that just sit on a spreadsheet. They're the kind that build equity, they can grow influence and bring in money as you're asleep or the business is closed. Here's the truth. Your digital presence doesn't just drive leads for the business. It can do that. It can build revenue. It amplifies profit margins, but it also positions your business as a dominant force, which I think gets skipped over often. Not only in the eyes of your customers does it amplify the business, but in the eyes of future hires, investors, and even competitors. In this episode, we're going to be unpacking why your website and social media are not expenses to the business, but they're really investments. And yes, investments are expenses, but this is not just something that's never going to make you money that you just have to check a box because people have said, hey, you need a website, hey, you need social media. I don't care what industry or market that you are in, both of which are going to be great digital assets and some of the highest yielding investments that you are going to make in your business. A spoiler alert for this episode is the ROI, hopefully, that you get out of this is going to be insane. So let's strap into why you actually need a website. The website is great for a few reasons. One, it's a 24/7 salesperson who never takes a break, doesn't need healthcare, and doesn't call in sick. It is always on, even when the business is closed. It helps provide customers or potential customers with information. It can generate leads, as I said. If you have an e-commerce store, obviously this works 24/7 around the clock and is helping sell product. And even if you have a in-person physical retail store, it allows people to shop and then come in and get the items. And if people want access to information, if they don't have the information and the site is not there to give it, even if it's something as simple as a menu for a restaurant, it can be frustrating to the consumer. But here's the kicker. The website is not just a digital flyer or for your menu. It's a scalable conversion engine. It helps educate your audience. It builds trust with prospectives. It qualifies leads for the team in terms of future employees, and it can just sell on autopilot. If we had to make this real, let's go through just a made-up scenario here. This is synonymous with quite a few clients that we've had in the past. A local home services company, let's say they do home cleaning, puts $3,000 into getting a website created, or maybe they just even revamp the pre-existing Squarespace site that was a little outdated and needed some help. They optimize it for mobile. They streamline the site by getting like Acuity or one of these online booking services embedded into the site where people can actually schedule online right from the site itself. And then, of course, it checks one of the most important boxes. It is SEO heavy and it works well to appear with Google. In, let's say, 90 days after doing this $3,000 website investment, they start to figure out that their month of May has doubled from the year prior in terms of their lead volume. And as the months continue on, the lead volume just continues to go up. One of the big things that impacts your ranking with Google is the actual amount of traffic to the site. And this is a snowball effect. When the site starts to actually perform well and get more traffic, it leads to getting even higher rankings on Google, which in turn turns more traffic. So if you think about Google's job, and I talk about this all the time, it is supposed to serve people that are looking for things with relevant information. It's supposed to help you find what you're looking for. Google, apart from scrubbing the website, does not know much apart from using AI tools to figure out what your business is about and ultimately to assume what the person's looking for. If a lot of people are going to a certain destination after searching a certain thing, it's going to think that this is the thing people are looking for. So that is why the traffic snowballs. And that's also why having an SEO heavy website that has loads of information is important for your business. So if we look back at the $3,000 investment from the home services company that does cleaning or whatever it may be, we can now say, let's say, hey, we went from 2 leads a month to 4 leads a month, and our peak in 1 month was 8. And then as years go on, let's say the site has a lifetime expectancy of 5 years. The site has now generated maybe 80 to 100 leads. Those 80 to 100 leads could be worth anywhere from $100 to $500 one-time sales or recurring revenue if you are continually cleaning that home. And that means the site itself has now generated tens of thousands of dollars, paying off the initial $3,000 investment. The other great part is it helps with two things: the sales tool itself, and then finding people to work into this cleaning business. So as far as the sales tool goes, this cleaning company's business here, a lot of people want to know what things are getting cleaned, what times do you come, how long does it take, what's the payment schedule? There's all these questions that can arise out of this. And the more of those questions we can answer, the easier the sales process is going to go. When someone goes from Google into the site, they become a marketing qualified lead because they search for a certain topic, and then they go click into the website. So we've qualified that they're looking for this service, and so now they're on the site. Once they fill out that contact form, they should be a sales qualified lead, which means they've gone through a bit of the sales process, and we have said, hey, here's everything about us. They've read all of the content on the site, or maybe just the FAQs that are on the homepage, or just the general services. Let's pray they do it anyways. And they fill out that contact form. And so when the salesperson, or let's say you're the owner of the business, if it's a little smaller of a company, when you get that person that fills out that form, or they finally decide to call you, that person has a bunch of the information that is on your website already consumed, and they're a warmer lead than someone who is just going through the Google Maps listings and they see XYZ Home Services, they see another business, and then they see yours. They call all three of you. They're not reading any information before they click in. If you think about what that sales process looks like, the one that just calls is, hey, where are you guys located? What do you guys charge? How does the process work? And before you know it, you're 15 minutes into this call having to explain everything. On the flip side of that, if someone has gone through the site, and even if they just briefly, you could take less than 30 seconds to scan a page and get a general gist of price, what the services are at minimum, and then they fill that out, that conversation shifts over to, hey, I saw on your guys' website you provide this service. It shows it's around this range. What would it cost for a home this size? The salesperson says, yes, we do. You're correct. That's about right. We'd have to come out to get an estimate, but whatever. It just knocks down a lot of the clunkiness of that process, which is another huge investment, especially if you're in sales like I am. The more information the person has, which is what they need to make the decision, the better the process is going to be. So it's not just an investment in making the sales process easier, obviously, but the opportunity is a lot warmer and they're more qualified to actually buy from you. So this business, again, $3,000 in for, this is just an example. Some sites can go up to $20,000, $50,000, $100,000, depending on the size of the business. But they put $3,000 down, they buy the site. And this thing, after 5 years, has made them tens, if not $50,000 to $100,000 worth of leads. And some of that is monthly recurring revenue. And the site has totally paid itself off, which is always the goal of a website. Speaking of goals of the website, this website is supposed to be a revenue generating machine. It's supposed to be a magnet, not just for customers, but for talent and people who are going to apply. And when we talk about that, I have a marketing company, and it's hard to find people in marketing, not that just want to be in marketing, but that are actually talented. So the talent pool that you're pulling from is going to reflect the digital footprint that you have on the internet. And we have maybe sometimes like up to 5 career forms a week filled out on our website. And you go and talk to these people in the interview process, and it's always the same thing. Hey, I saw you guys on social media, or I was going through your website. It seems like you have something great going on here, and I want to be a part of it. And when I talked about being a dominant force in your market earlier, right? This is one of those things where competitors are going to see this, future hires are going to see this, investors are going to see this. The more put together you are as a business as a whole, and digital is a huge sector of that, the more general buzz is going to be there around the business itself. And so I just think it's a huge part to pay attention to as well. Even we'll go back to the cleaning business again. Most people don't want someone kind of sketchy or random in their home. And so if you're a high-end cleaning business and you're really trying to find people that care about the industry, and those people are probably tough to find, if they go and start searching into your local area about where they can get a job like this, you're going to be one of the first people they reach out to. If you're one of the highest ranking, most put together looking, services and everything's just super clean and laid out, and something that they would be proud to be a part of, versus the guy who doesn't have a website, or the people that have a one-page site that's like some info's there, looks pretty outdated, branding's not there, phone number was hard to find, there's no careers page. There's just going to be a very different taste in the person's mouth when they see each of those. And that's just the beginning of why a website is so important. Obviously, there's a million things we could get into with all of the site, but the 2 big ones, again, are attracting leads or sales qualified people to come into the store, whatever it is, And then the other would be the actual dominant force in the market for future hires, investors, and competitors. And a big thing to remember about this is you're not just building a website, you're building market share. You're investing in market share in sales and in workforce reputation. The second half of this episode is about social media. So let's talk about it. Most business owners either avoid it, they outsource it very poorly, or they post random fluff and wonder why nothing sticks. Or a fun one that is additional to these is you're a part of a franchise or something and they have a software that they use where every franchise gets free, quote unquote, social media posts out to all of their pages, and you get a nice stock image and a really crappy caption, and that's what you're stuck with. Those situations do not work. Same with outsourcing it poorly, avoiding it and not doing anything, or just posting random fluff or memes or something that has nothing to pertain to the business. But when it's done right, social can be one of the most scalable trust building engines that your business has. And here's a good way to think about it. So your website, which we talked about earlier, is your home base for your business, and your social media is the highway system that is sending people there. But more than foot traffic, it's about attention, authority, and perception. These are the things social media is the greatest at. Potential customers are checking your Instagram before your website even sometimes, and certainly before they come into the store. And potential employees might be looking at your LinkedIn before the actual job post that you have on Indeed or some other hiring site. Or if they see the job post, they're going to multi-reference you on the website and some other places. A strong social presence says, hey, we are active, we are growing, we care a lot, and we're legit. A weak and outdated social media presence screams the total opposite. The businesses that are totally crushing it today are not just selling, they're attracting. And it's not just leads they're attracting, not just revenue they're attracting, but the top tier people who want to become a part of something real. Social media has so many different ways that you can approach it and get into it, which is why it's so beautiful. It's got so many applications that it does have a mold and a fit for every type of business that's out there. And the greatest part is it's free to post. So you get to try everything with basically nothing down but time. And if you're actually having someone that is going back and looking, hey, what did the most? What have customers mentioned, if anything, if they've actually seen something on there? How do we make more of that? And even down to the type of post that you do. I have a sheet that if you reach out to me, I can send it to you. It's a PDF, but it goes over the types of social media content and how you should spread those throughout your page. So it's 30% of the post should be selling, 10% of them can be entertainment. It goes through all the types of posts. So it just gives you a framework that makes it a lot easier to work out of when it comes to, hey, oh crap, it's Monday. What are we supposed to post today? You can be like, we've posted 3 of these, we've done 2 of those, we haven't done any of these yet. And so it gives a framework or guideline to pave a road in terms of what type of content to be posting. That same sheet actually goes over how often to post as well. And this is something I'll hit really quickly and then we can move on. The number of times that you post in a week does not directly correlate to sales. It's not more post equals more sales. The number of times you post a week should correlate to the actual audience that you have on the social platforms. And as the audience grows, the number of posts grow. So if we have 300 people that follow our Facebook page or whatever it is, and each of those people gets on Facebook on average 1.5 times per day. If you post 10 times that day, the likelihood of all 300 of them seeing all 10 posts is 0. The likelihood of all 300 of them seeing one of them is still very low, probably sub 25%. But if we made one good post and took the same time that we were going to put into all 10 of those, maybe even out of the 10, we grabbed the best one and the best idea, and we served that one time, the people that get on in the morning could interact with it and engage. The algorithm is going to say, hey, people like this. The next time someone that follows this page gets on Facebook, let's show it to them and see if they like it. And the more times that check happens, show it to them, see if they like it, let's serve it to more people, the more they're going to see it. So the difference here is when you go from 300 to, let's say, 3,000. So now that we've got 3,000 people, and let's say the average is still 1.5 times per day, that still is going to be more daily visits overall, where like volume wise, right? Not per person, but total volume of actually getting onto the page. So this means you need to serve more content into the market to make sure that it is being served out to the appropriate people. So this is where, again, I really am of the belief that 1 a day is like totally good. But if we were talking in a week perspective, if you have 300, that might be like 1-2 posts a week. If you have 3,000, that might be 3 to 5 posts a week. And that's, again, so that when people get on, some people may not get on for 2 days at a time. And if they're still one of your really good customers, if you keep pumping content into the page, by the time they get on 2 days later, that really good post that you spent a good amount of time on versus 5 posts that each of them got a fifth of that time. That one thing that was around the same topic that you wanted to sell, or maybe it was a promo for a sale or something like that, is now 3 days away, but also 5 posts away. So the likelihood of that person now getting on later, getting served that post is much lower. So the type of content matters a lot, but the frequency is also really important. I have a whole episode on all of that if you want to go and listen to it. I think it was 1 or 2 seasons ago. I will probably retouch on that later this season as well, as things change with AI and all of the stuff coming in 2025 with new social media platforms and just how businesses tackle socials in general. So swinging back to the topic of the episode, websites and social media being great investments for the business, let's talk about return on investment. Yes, the money part. So if we get into some numbers, a well-built website with compelling copy, conversion-focused layouts, and a lead capture tool can bring in daily leads without any ad spend. That's the goal here, is we don't have to spend anything on this. Just like socials, we can run ads on social media. Actually, it's getting to a point now where you have to, just to stand out, because Facebook just needs money. So they're letting advertisers dominate the space. But there's a free option here where if we do a really good job, we can still bring in leads or get sales just from the free tools that we have available to us. And so if you can get the website to do its job, it's SEO heavy. We build something really strong there, and we're starting to appear on Google daily, and it's bringing in leads daily. When you pair that with an effective social media strategy, you're looking at what we would probably call the organic flywheel. So we talk about a marketing flywheel, which is like the customer life cycle, essentially. The organic flywheel is just the free version of that, no paid advertising. And when you're looking at the organic flywheel, that builds momentum and lowers your cost per acquisition over time. So here's what most people miss: the longevity of this investment. I mentioned earlier that website could last 5 years, right? So a well-optimized blog post can bring in leads for months, if not over a year. This means if we get a blog post that has actual intention and is not written by AI, which I have a whole episode about that as well that just released right before this one, that blog post, if it gets enough views, that can stay lifted in Google's search results for quite some time and can still serve as a tool to get people over to your website and then bring in leads. It's not necessarily that someone reads the blog and they're like, oh my gosh, I want to work with these people. It's they search something like asking a question, for instance, and then they land on your business's website, and then they're like, oh, these guys are in town, and then they can hire you. Or if you're a nationwide service or you sell products across the globe, whatever it is, that means they can buy. The other portion of that is something like a solid YouTube video, maybe it's long format or something short format like an Instagram reel or a TikTok. That can still go viral even months after posting it if it didn't go viral the first time, which is, again, we're talking longevity about this stuff. You don't just want to fluff every piece of content. You don't want to fluff all the social media channels with just a bunch of crap. You want to make sure that intention's going into this stuff. And this is why we get paid to do this for so many companies, is because these are meant to be strategized little sales pieces, little snippets of the services or products that the business offers in whatever format it's delivered in. And whether or not it goes viral, the point is to get eyeballs on the product. And this can happen months after posting it. So you can invest $200-300 into a TikTok or an Instagram reel and post that, and 2 or 3 months down the road, someone can still see that organically without having to put any money behind it, and then end up becoming a lead or a customer. At minimum, it helps drive the amount of times that someone needs to see you. We call them touch points on a social media channel or across the internet. It could even be in person. So this could be like a digital billboard, the sign outside of your office, whatever it is. They have to have 4 to 10 touch points on a weekly basis before they see, oh, this is like a prevalent brand and probably someone who's really good in that market. And when I become someone who needs that product or that service, that's where I'm going. And this type of digital content doesn't disappear. It actually compounds on itself. It's just like the pages on the website telling Google, who's the one source that's feeding all the sites and ranking them against each other. The site that has the most stuff is going to do the best. Social media, same way. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. The people that are posting consistently get engagement and get views are going to be the ones who start to appear higher up in people's feeds. Now, same as Google, we have to wonder, why is that? With social media channels, they obviously have to make money. Their job is to keep people on that platform as long as possible so they can serve more ads. So if your organic content is doing well, and there's a likelihood that each time this account posts that people engage with this, that means that people are going to stay on the platform longer, which means that social platform is going to serve your content more often. It always ties back to money, right? And if you have to put it bluntly, your digital presence becomes your most efficient salesperson. It's a great recruiter for talent. And obviously, and maybe one of the strongest, it's a great brand ambassador. Maybe better than you wearing the company hat and the company polo and driving the company truck. This website is going to be there. Again, your truck's not everywhere all at once, and neither are you. Probably no one can talk about your business as well as you can. But I would imagine a website company, even like the one we have, we ask a lot of questions to the person that is the most equipped and the most knowledgeable about the business to take all of that information, all the goodies, and stick that on the website. And so the website, again, is always on. If you'd be so surprised how many people like 10, 11 p.m. we have reach out to us. And even when I call them in the morning on their lead form, I'm like, yeah, so I got your thing at 10 p.m. last night. And then we have a fun little like 2-minute diversion conversation on, yeah, I was up late last night. And that's just when I finally don't have to deal with employees and I'm blah, blah, blah. And like all the time, people are shopping and people are searching for things, and it's not always apparent to us. And it was surprising to me when it initially happened to see nighttime as one of the best lead times of when we get stuff for our marketing company, because that's just when business owners have free time to do this stuff. Now, moving beyond the sale and the return on investment, and this still is a return on investment, but if we go beyond just the sale part of this, the digital footprint is not just attracting buyers, it's attracting future hires. And I know I've said this a few times already in this episode, but I really want to nail this down and emphasize it. People want to work for companies that feel modern, professional, and active. And a lot of that happens on the internet. Guess where they go to vet you? They go to your website, your LinkedIn, they might check your Instagram, they'll look at your Glassdoor, your Yelp, your Google reviews. If you want to recruit top talent and retain them, you need to have them become brand advocates. You need a digital brand that speaks to more than just your product. And I know that a lot of the old school people listening to this episode, let's say you've had a business that's been around for 80 years and you took it over from your parents, or you maybe acquired the business and they've never had a website, they've never done any of this stuff. Why is this important now? It's because people are drowning in the amount of content that's out there. And it's just, obviously, this is going to sound funny, but it's the way of the future. It's the internet, man. Like, this is truly where everything is headed. And if you're not behind the ball on all of this and you're not getting this stuff taken care of and set up, you will eventually fall behind. And people that serve the service or deliver the product or sell the product, whatever it is, that's one of the most important parts of your business. And so when it comes to recruiting top talent, the people that are going to be working in your business, online is going to be one of the many places that people go to do this. Job fairs, career fairs, whatever you want to call them, the hiring centers and all of that, where people can go and try to find you jobs. Those are starting to die down if you look at the numbers, just purely because the access to information is so high out there. You can spend 3 or 4 hours browsing across the internet and have probably 15 job interviews lined up by like the next 2 weeks just through doing that. And so if the person's not just like machine gun spraying at random and just trying to get anything they can get, but they're actually being selective, so they have a job already and they're looking to get out of that, go to a different company, upgrade their pay or whatever it is, benefits, and they're looking around and you want to appear and attract that top tier talent, digital is going to be one of the most important things, especially just with how competitive the hiring market is. I've heard this all the time now, and this is like April 2025 right now. For the last 8 months, 10 months probably, all of our clients we talk to, same thing I hear from everybody. It's so hard to hire right now. It's so hard to find people. Everyone wants a ton of money for their positions or their salaries or whatever. You have McDonald's starting you at 16, 17, 18 an hour just to work the line or the drive-through window, right? So it's hard for small businesses especially to compete with that, where minimum wage here in Missouri at least is around $12. They're paying $5 to $7 over minimum wage for an hourly, and a lot of small businesses are now having to reach down into the market and recruit kids from high school or people that work part-time in college. And there's nothing wrong with those kids. They have total great roles to be filled in society. But if we're talking for top tier client, that typically means people with experience. And we're not going to typically find that in younger people. It's very rare to find an experienced young person. But if someone is comparing 2 competing job offers and one's a little bit higher and then the other one is yours, if you have a better culture in the company, that's a whole nother segment to get into. But you have a great brand presence, everything's exciting on the internet, there's social media content going out, and everything is cohesive and put together, and it doesn't feel old, clunky, dated, and just like totally in the past. The chances of them still going with you, even though it's a few $1,000s a year less or something of that sort, is probably high. And we've been able to leverage this for our own business too. I want to pay everyone as much as humanly possible. I'm sure many small business owners can relate with that, but we just can't. That's just the fact of the matter. So there are things like these tools I'm talking about right now. They're either one-time investments or they're free to do. And these help severely with the actual competitive hiring market and finding top tier talent. So something you might be wondering is, what if social platforms go the way of Vine, Google+, MySpace? What if I put a bunch of time and possibly even advertising dollars into these platforms, and then they just go away. That's a fair concern. I don't disagree with you. Businesses did do that for Vine, Google, MySpace, not so much. As more of like person-based stuff. But here's a strategy that we would take on. Your website is your land. You own it. It's not going anywhere. Social media is just where the parties happen, quote unquote. So smart businesses treat social media as a distribution channel, not the final destination. As I mentioned earlier, all the highways lead to home base. The goal is to push people toward your website, getting on your email list, driving them to your physical store or coming into, the physical location you have for your service business, and being a part of the actual community that you have online. So this is across channels. So again, we have distribution channels. We want to maximize the amount of channels our customers are on and where they see us and where they follow us. Diversify your presence, repurpose your content. So you can, if you post something to Instagram and you already paid money to make it, or you spent time, which is the same thing in my opinion, you may as well post that to Facebook, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and everywhere else that you can post it because it's free to do. It just takes a little bit more time. Invest in the platforms while the assets are being built. And the greatest part about that is you actually control these assets. So that's how you weather the algorithmic shifts and the policy changes without having to start from scratch every time, is you diversify and you have 8 social media channels, all of which are probably in different stages. But if one goes away, we've got the TikTok weird ban thing I don't think it's going to happen now, but let's say it did disappear. We were all like scared about that for a second, or we were just thinking it could happen. If all of our eggs were in that basket, we'd be totally screwed. So this is why you want to start building across platforms. The other thing with that is like old people are on Facebook, semi-old to younger people are on Instagram, pretty young to all the way old are on TikTok, but mostly young people. Different people are on different platforms. So if you want to reach all parts of the market as well, especially when it comes to sales versus hiring, you've got to be on all those platforms. And speaking of being on all the platforms and mistakes that can happen, let's talk about some of the mistakes so you don't set your money on fire. Let's make sure you don't waste the digital investment that goes into this and talk about some of the top mistakes to avoid. The first mistake that we see probably most often is the website being treated like it's a digital brochure. Your site is not purely an information hub or just a one-page thing where it's, I just was told I needed a website once, so I signed up for Wix and I just threw my logo up there and like the 3 services, and then there's like a form. No, it's supposed to be a site that is a conversion tool, not just something that exists on the internet. So treat your website as a conversion tool, not a brochure. The second mistake is posting without a strategy. So every post should serve a goal. I mentioned this earlier. It should be awareness, engagement, lead generation. This could be recruitment for new employees, whatever it is. But like each post should not just be some random thing that's put out there. It should fall into one of the buckets that we're talking about here. Third mistake is ignoring mobile. 60 to 70% of all online traffic now for websites is happening through a mobile device. So if your site does not look good on a phone, you're invisible to 60 to 70% of all the people that are going to be searching. The latest stat that I've seen personally was back in like 2020. So it's a little old. It's probably worse than it is now though. If a page did not load in under 3 seconds, 70% of people would go back and then go to the next link because people want that instant gratification and they want to see what they clicked on. They don't want to wait for things to load. So that's mobile performance, for instance. So we just need to make sure we're paying attention to how the website looks on mobile. You have to click through every single page, try to test every single button, go through filling out your own contact form or trying to buy one of your own products. A lot of people don't even do that. Test what the customer experience is like. Mistake number 4 is not tracking anything, not tracking performance, no metrics, no analytics, no nothing. Analytics tools like Google Analytics and obviously the social media platforms have these built in, are 100% free. So use them. Keep a little spreadsheet. You can keep a pen and paper, like even a notepad just with some lines in it, and keep month over month performance measurements. And this will let you know if you're growing or if you need to optimize some things and make some changes. But it's going to be better to have a pulse on this than just not tracking anything at all. And that's a huge mistake to make. And the 5th and final mistake is building all of this, socials, website, everything, without any branding. A slick website with 0 brand clarity is just noisy. Same with social media channels. There should be some thematic thing that comes together, some purpose, some overall brand presence so that we can, again, grab more of the market share and make sure that we are a dominant force in it. So let's wrap this up. Here's the big takeaway. Your website and social media aren't just tasks on a checklist. They are the foundation of how you sell, scale, and recruit in 2025 and the years to come. They help build brand equity, capture market share, attract high-value customers, draw in A+ employees, and scale your business without scaling your payroll, like in sales, for instance. And these are not expenses. They're investments with an infinite upside. The better the site gets, the more money you're going to make. The better the social channels are, the more eyeballs you have on that, the more money the brand is going to pull in. So whether you're a solopreneur, scaling startup, or a local giant in the making, don't treat your digital presence like it's a side project, because in this economy, visibility is currency. Trust is leverage, and your brand online is the first thing that people will buy into. Thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk Social. If today's episode lit a fire under you, share it with a fellow business owner who's still treating their website like a business card and their social media like it's a chore. We see those all the time. And hey, take 5 minutes to look at your site and go through your socials through the eyes of a customer and a potential hire. Like I said, go through that whole process as if you were them. And if you're not proud of what you see, make some changes. We'll catch you next time, guys. Same podcast, Smarter Marketing. I'm out.